The Justice League is the premier superhero team of DC Comics. We've already covered 10 of the most unstoppable members of the League for part 1, but since you guys seem to love that so much, now you get part 2. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd, and let's jump in, shall we? Number 10, Constantine, or Constantine, or whatever you want to say. John Constantine is a really fun inclusion for this list because he is extremely powerful and not powerful at all at the same time. John can wield magic for sure through years and years of learning, training, traveling, but he doesn't have any kind of magical affinity or any kind of beneficial magical family heritage. John relies on actual magic as a very last resort, and the magic he knows how to use isn't anything to scoff at. He has even, very momentarily, been able to hold back Dr. Fate, but using magic comes at a cost and he knows this. So what Constantine prefers is trickery. Lies, deceit, traps, his wits, weapons, artifacts, backup, and calling in favors. John smokes. He drinks, he's in his middle ages, and he ain't in the greatest of health. He can throw a punch for sure, but most people are a physical match for him. But at the same time, he has been able to trick, outsmart, or overpower gods, demons, and angels, Batman, Superman, Darkseid, Swamp Thing, Dr. Fate, the Phantom Stranger, the Spirit of Justice, the Spectre, who's the Spirit of Vengeance, Lucifer, and even the Presence, who is basically DC's version of God. He tricked the Presence into curing John of cancer and granting him divine protection by selling his soul to 3 separate Hell Lords who would start a civil war over his soul, which would spill out onto Earth and into heaven. You don't sleep on this bad-mouthed middle-aged man. Number 9, I, Vampire. In comparison to most of the other characters who have made this list, Andrew Bennett as a vampire is kinda squishy. Vampires are practically indestructible and can regenerate any damage done by consuming blood. They have superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, can transform into bats, wolves, rats, and mist, and have enhanced senses and a bit of psychokinesis. But despite that, they have some major weaknesses that pretty much everyone is aware of, with a big one being the frickin' sun, unless they can find a way to temporarily make themselves immune. But for I, Vampire, he has a peculiar ability to eventually automatically revive himself after he is killed, even if he becomes a pile of ash from the sun. He has even survived the end of the universe. Now, this ability is a bit of a mystery even to Bennett himself. When he survived the end of the universe, it was at the will of the Presence, leading some to believe that this may be true in all cases, but that's not actually confirmed. The point here is that he is literally unstoppable because he will always just come back. Is it cheating? I don't know, maybe, but if it is, then our next spot absolutely is cheating. Number 8, Deadman. While I, Vampire, will come back from the dead every time, Deadman is already dead, and therefore pretty much can't be touched except by magical artifacts, or magical beings, but even then he can usually give them a good beating. Boston Brand is a ghost. Sorry. Giving him some pretty limited abilities like intangibility, flight, and invisibility, plus a little bit of dimensional travel, which is a bit more useful. But where he truly becomes powerful is in his ability to possess other people. Now, of course, this ability isn't always reliable because there always needs to be some kind of challenge to nerf an ability like this. Batman, for example, is a struggle because of his incredibly strong mind, and there are a lot of strong-minded individuals in comic books. Plus, he can't control people who have already been hypnotized or who are immune to being possessed, like the Spectre. But there are still quite a few extremely powerful characters who he could potentially, and has, possessed. Judy Moon, the Enchantress, Swamp Thing plus the Green, Pantheon, who is an elder god, and the multiversal entity known as the House of Mystery have all been possessed by Deadman. But there's no reason he couldn't possess Superman, Wonder Woman, and a large variety of other heroes and villains. Number 7, Animal Man. Thanks to an encounter with some rather strange aliens, Bernard Buddy Baker gained access to the morphogenic field, otherwise known as the Red. This field basically allows Buddy to absorb and use different attributes of nearby animals while still being a human. So, he has been able to move his eyes independently like a chameleon, he's been able to ram against a speeding car with the abilities of a rhino, he can fly by tapping into birds, he's regenerated a whole lost limb by tapping into an earthworm, gained the strength to lift a car by tapping into a spider, and he's ran at 70 75 miles per hour by adopting the abilities of an ant. But his abilities have done some even more surprising things, like, for example, when a villain cut Buddy off from any nearby animals, he took on the attributes of the bacteria inside that villain's body, allowing Animal Man to duplicate himself, and he can even tap into the attributes of extinct animals like dinosaurs, which has allowed him to punch out a T-Rex and survive being crashed into by a plane by borrowing the abilities of both a Stegosaurus and a rhino. And that's another thing. Over time, he's received power boosts that allow him to use multiple abilities at once, and then to even use the abilities of any animal in the universe, like when he used the power of a Sun Eater, which let him fly across the galaxy in an instant. He's even absorbed the powers of Krypto, Superman's superdog. Number 6. Aquaman. The ocean is a genuinely terrifying and interesting place. As such, the Atlanteans of DC Comics possess a few advantages over us regular humans. They have super strength, speed, endurance, and durability, all in order to help them survive the mind-boggling pressure at the insane depths of the ocean at which they live. But Aquaman himself is a royal Atlantean, which means that he is a super Atlantean. His strength and durability has allowed him to close the Marianas Trench, go toe-to-toe with powerful foes like Martian Manhunter, Lobo, and Wonder Woman, and tank blasts from Starro. His speed, which is often forgotten about, allows him to swim at 10,000 feet per second, and he can move even faster without the pressure or drag of water, allowing him to dodge bullets and catch lasers. But Aquaman has quite a few other advantages. His control over sea life has helped him in a large majority of his fights, with his underwater allies coming to his aid and helping him do things he probably couldn't do alone, like creating a massive tsunami with whales. His telepathic skill is actually quite impressive as well. Some of my favorite feats include him telepathically controlling a Green Lantern ring, reading the Martian Manhunter's mind without permission, and controlling a space dragon. Now, for a while he had a hand that was a hook and then became a magical mystical water hand that could do a whole other level of feats, but I'm out of time, so we're moving on. Number 5. Supergirl. It's funny, when I look up how powerful is Supergirl, I found more stuff about how she isn't more powerful than Superman, as if saying that Kara Zor-El is stronger than Kal-El is insulting their own masculinity. Kara is technically older than Kal is, and she also never learned to hold back, meaning she goes in with 100% effort. This made her appear to be much stronger than Superman when she showed up on the scene, but Superman has been absorbing the rays of our sun much longer, meaning he inherently has more power and more knowledge of how to use it, and his ancestry makes him just better than most other Kryptonians. That's the same reason, or part of the reason, why he was stronger than Zod. So now all the Superman stans can just chill out for a second. Supergirl has the potential to have all the exact same abilities that Superman does, but at a lower level, which still makes her insanely capable and one of the strongest beings in the universe. She has fought Barry Allen pretty successfully, obviously not trying to hurt him though. She put up a decent fight against Wonder Woman, though she still got kinda destroyed, and beat the snot out of Cyborg Superman, and then there is Power Girl, the Earth 2 counterpart of Supergirl, who seems to be even stronger. Number 4. Swamp Thing. Alec Holland was a chemist and botanist who spent most of his efforts creating a chemical formula that could increase the growth speed of plants and even let plants grow in abnormal places. Unfortunately for Alec, the lab he was working in was sabotaged and he passed away in the ensuing explosion and fire while running out into the swamp where his lab resided. Since his body was covered in the formula he created, his consciousness was absorbed by the plant life of the swamp. In a new human-like plant body, Alec rose as the Swamp Thing. Alec was now an earth elemental and avatar of the green, essentially a god of plants. With unimaginable levels of superhuman strength, durability, and inability to feel pain, regeneration from plant life, he can move at the speed of light, alter his size drastically, shapeshift to allow himself to have other abilities like flight, he can duplicate himself, has chlorokinesis, or control over plants, which allows him to teleport through plant life, as well as, and thanks to his connection to the green, he can even move through time and possesses cosmic awareness. He's taken control of all the algae on Earth to remove most of Earth's oxygen in a show of strength. He's taken hits from and even restrained Superman and knocked the wind out of Wonder Woman. Swamp Thing is one of the more interesting heroes that DC has, and he deserves more respect on his name. Number 3. Black Adam. Whether you like it or hate it, Black Adam has been part of the Justice League. Black Adam has essentially the same base power that is possessed by Shazam, who made part 1 of this list, but for Black Adam, his ideologies and ruthless nature mean that he is simply much more capable than Shazam because he does not hold himself back. All we have to do to see how capable Black Adam is to take a peek at 2007's World War III event, or as I like to call it, Black Adam versus literally everyone. Black Adam single-handedly goes up against, beats the snot out of, and even takes the life of some of the combined forces of the JSA, the JLA, Captain Marvel, China's Great 10, the Phantom Stranger, Martian Manhunter, Power Girl, Wonder Woman, Stargirl, Plastic Man, Jay Garrick, several Green Lanterns, and more, all at the same time. And almost no one can take him down for the whole run of the comic. It's absolutely insane. Now, as for his whole inclusion in the Justice League, he was officially a member, but he also wasn't exactly good, which he never really is. We can discuss in the comments, but he is easily one of the strongest people to ever be a part of the Justice League. Number 2, Dr. Fate. I honestly thought Dr. Fate was just a part of the Justice Society and not the Justice League, but I was wrong, and I'll admit that. So, while he should have been in part 1, he is making part 2. Hate on me in the comments if you want, I literally don't care. One of the first magic-wielding superheroes ever, Dr. Fate debuted in 1940, way before Doctor Strange. Technically, Dr. Fate is a name used by the wearers of the Helmet of Fate, which was created by the powerful sorcerer Nabu, along with the Amulet of Anubis and the Cloak of Destiny. When Nabu passed away, his spirit was absorbed into these items, allowing him to live on through his hosts. Now, while Kent Nelson was the first, characters like Inza Kramer, Jared Stevens, Khalid Nassour, and a few others have wielded the powers of Dr. Fate throughout history, inhabiting the Tower of Fate and fighting magical threats. The Helmet of Fate itself grants the hero their vast magical powers, which include reality manipulation, matter manipulation, and time traveling, among many other abilities, plus the knowledge to cast spells that can do even more. And in at number 1, is Lobo. Lobo is basically what would happen if you took Marvel's Wolverine and Deadpool and smacked them together, added a pinch of the Punisher, and then made him as strong and tough as Superman and coated him in Gene Simmons face paint from the band Kiss. Now, as with all characters' feats, we need to take it with a pinch of salt, because this Zarnian in one story was able to take out the New Gods, who are all ridiculously powerful, but in the same story, he was captured and restrained by 3 Green Lanterns. He's been able to knock out Superman, regenerate himself from a pool of blood, has been deemed immortal and banned from both heaven and hell, he can track anyone he has met across the galaxy, is immune to psychic attacks, he's a genius, can break the 4th wall, can possess others, speaks 17,000 languages, can clone himself using his blood, can travel time and space with his motorcycle, and in one story, he literally takes out every single superhero, and man, he punched Santa's head off. That's just messed up. Lobo is almost completely unstoppable, and for some reason, he was very briefly part of the Justice League. And that's all the time I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd, and I'll catch you nerds on the flippity flop. Peace out!